Most people never reach their true potential, not because of their enemies or bad luck, but because they are shackled by invisible chains. These chains are not made of metal or rope, but forged in the mind. Fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear that whispers lies so quietly it almost feels like a part of who you are. You call it anxiety, insecurity, doubt. But Machiavelli called it what it really is: mental obedience. This isn't a fleeting emotion or a weakness to be managed with cliches or comfort. It is a brutal, relentless programming installed into your mind by society, by your upbringing, and by your own past failures. And until you break free from it, you will remain a prisoner to hesitation, a slave to doubt, forever submitting before you even make a move. Imagine what it would feel like to live without this invisible master, to move through the world with icy precision, unshaken by fear, undeterred by the opinions of others. This is not some abstract idea or motivational platitude. It's a radical transformation, a complete mental reboot. The Machiavellian method I'm about to share with you is not about feeling better or finding comfort. It is about destroying fear at its roots, rewriting your brain's deepest wiring until fear becomes meaningless noise in the background of your life. It's a cold, surgical process that demands discipline and relentless action, but the payoff is power, the kind of power that commands respect, controls your environment, and carves your path through chaos. If you're ready to stop surrendering to the quiet prison of your own mind and start building an unbreakable fortress of will, this neuro conditioning method is your blueprint. Prepare to confront the raw truth. Fear is not your enemy, it's your training, and only by mastering it can you master yourself. Most people never rise to their true potential, not because enemies stand in their way or fate is cruel, but because they are shackled by invisible chains woven from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of being judged, fear of failing in front of others. Society dresses this fear in softer names: anxiety, insecurity, doubt. But Machiavelli calls it what it truly is: mental obedience. This fear is not a mere emotion. It is a brutal programming implanted in your mind by culture, by weakness, by memory, and by every failure you never reframed. It is a cage, preventing you from striking first, from becoming sovereign of your life. Imagine what it would feel like to walk the world with clarity so cold it burns away hesitation, to be untouched by the judgment of others, to move with an authority so absolute that fear becomes meaningless noise in your mind. This is no comfort-seeking promise. It is a merciless reboot, a neuro-conditioning designed to kill hesitation, guilt, and emotional noise until only precision remains. The modern man believes fear is natural, but the truth is, fear is taught. It is installed by parents who warned you to stay small, teachers who punished your confidence, friends who laughed at your courage, and a society thriving on control rather than freedom. Fear is not your flaw, it is your programming, and therefore, it can be rewired. But first, you must drag it from the shadows, expose it fully. Most live thinking they strategize, but all they do is avoid fear under the illusion of wisdom, saying, "Now is not the right time," or "I'm just being realistic." These are fear's polished lies wearing suits and ties. Machiavelli would say the mind must be brutalized before it can become sovereign, teaching your brain who is master again, not by inspiration but by cold conditioning. You are not fear itself. You are a man experiencing fear, and that experience is data to dissect like a threat, not an unshakable truth. Replace "I'm scared" with "there is fear present. It will pass." Once you stop believing fear is you, it becomes a thing, and things can be broken, rewired, redirected. The foolish man blindly pushes through fear. The Machiavellian man investigates it as if at a crime scene because fear is rarely real. It is a broken alarm echoing in your nervous system, a loop from the past. Your task is to disable the alarm, not justify its noise. You erase fear not by hiding but by starving it of your response. Fear needs hesitation, overthinking, avoidance to survive. Do the opposite. Every day, deliberately and coldly, touch what frightens you, not for adrenaline, but for reprogramming. Speak the truth no one else dares. Enter the conversations you've avoided. Break the unspoken rules you obey unconsciously. The catch: you do this not for excitement, but to train your nervous system to numbness. The more you expose yourself to fear, the less it controls you until the fear circuit stops firing. This is conditioning, not courage. Your brain obeys what it experiences repeatedly. Right now, fear shows disaster, rejection, humiliation, loss. You invert these images. When fear says, "If you speak up, she'll leave," you see her walking away and feel calm. When fear says, "Fail and they will laugh," you respond, "Let them. Their silence will greet my return." You are not escaping fear, but rewriting its emotional meaning through visualization, a war at the neurological level where dominance replaces panic. You cannot erase fear without replacing it. Nature abhors a vacuum. You must overwrite fear with a philosophy colder than fear itself. Ideas like, "Pain proves I'm leaving average behind," or "If I lose everything, I become unstoppable." These phrases must become your mental defaults, repeated until your subconscious believes them harder than it believes fear. Machiavelli never prayed or ran. He installed mental armor, a philosophy making obedience to fear embarrassing and futile. Fear is not merely a feeling, but currency others profit from if you don't erase it. You must stop expressing fear, stop narrating it emotionally, and handle it coldly, efficiently, unapologetically, like data. The moment fear ceases to move you, you start moving the world. Your brain runs loops whispering doubt, stalling your actions, controlling your tone, making you question yourself when you must act. Machiavelli's method does not comfort these loops. It burns them because fear is not to be understood but destroyed. To break it, you must go deeper, stop negotiating with fear, and rebuild the entire system, allowing it to exist. Your imagination is your deadliest weapon, but fear hijacks it, turning it into a torture chamber replaying what-if scenarios. What if they laugh, fail, leave? These aren't reflection. They are self-poisoning. Your body reacts as if these fears are real. Sweating, shortness of breath, collapsing posture, softened voice. Machiavelli would not permit this paralysis. He would starve these simulations. The antidote is two cold words. So what? So what if she leaves? So what if I get rejected? So what if I lose everything? Then I'll rebuild it better. So what is not arrogance, but neural dominance, instantly cutting off fear's fuel, silencing the panic with freedom's sound. Modern culture comforts fear, nurturing it. Machiavelli calls this mental treason because comforting fear confirms its authority. Instead, you condition your mind to punish weakness. When fear-based thoughts arise, create micro-responses. Stop mid-sentence, clench your fist, straighten your posture, say cancel aloud, and redirect immediately to action. This is not violence but loop interruption so aggressive the mind learns fear equals punishment and stops producing these thoughts. The reward system reverses. Power becomes comfort, action becomes default, and hesitation feels painful. This is high-level neuroconditioning. You are not fighting fear. You are reprogramming the machine that produces it. You will never erase fear if you still see yourself as someone who deals with it. You must replace your identity, not by feeling strong, but by acting like one without fear until the brain accepts it as truth. Repeat daily. I am not a man who fears. I do not hesitate. I move forward. Nothing can destroy me if I keep building. Say it when waking, before speaking, entering tension, facing doubt. Even when fear whispers, respond with command. Emotion fluctuates. Repetition reshapes the mind. This is Machiavellian neuroconditioning, not motivation but software installation, embedding an operating system where fear has no home. Fear thrives in self-obsession. Most stay afraid because they believe processing trauma is more important than becoming dangerous. They journal, overanalyze, introspect endlessly, waiting for healing. Machiavelli created kings not by healing wounds, but by making men useful. You don't fix fear by understanding it. You fix it by becoming too occupied with domination, training, creation, and silent movement to indulge fear. Fear grows in empty minds, idle time, unclaimed energy. Kill fear by removing its habitat. You don't need breakthroughs. You need a mission consuming every corner of your mind until hesitation has no space. Here lies the paradox. The moment you accept the worst possible outcome and decide you'll survive it anyway, fear dies. Lose her? You're still breathing. Lose your job. You rebuild better. Fail in public. Return in silence. Don't resist the worst case. Study it. Plan for it. Embrace it with cold eyes. When you have nothing to protect, you become untouchable. This is the final level of fearlessness, not bravery, but absence of hesitation felt in your walk, your stare, the silence between words. You were told fear is manageable. Machiavelli says fear is master or prey. No middle ground. You don't tame fear, you hunt it. You create a brain that does not tolerate fear's voice, drowning it in routine, burning it with repetition, overriding it with execution. When fear is gone, your movement becomes dangerous, your tone final, your stare untouchable. That is when people stop underestimating you, not because you shouted, but because you no longer pause. Fear is a weapon. Tragedy is you've been conditioned to wield it against yourself. You were taught to fear opinions, mistakes, silence, rejection. Machiavelli teaches something else. He who controls fear controls everyone else who doesn't. Fearless men create psychological gravity. They alter behavior by lowering their sensitivity to control. This method doesn't remove fear politely. It rewires biology to kill fear before it takes root. The man who moves without fear no longer plays the game. He designs it. One of fear's deadliest forms is the fear of not being allowed. Most won't say it aloud, but live trapped by, am I allowed to say this, to try that? Do I need approval? Waiting for permission is surrender. You've told the world your movement depends on others' comfort, killing momentum forever. So here is the reprogramming move. Assume permission. Unless physically blocked, permission does not exist. Speak what you want. Ask nothing. Act like the system already belongs to you. Society punishes timid, but follows the self-assured, because people secretly look for the brave first mover. Be that man, even if legs shake. Courage is not absence of fear, but dominance of action over it. Fear's most potent ally is pain avoidance, psychological pain like embarrassment, rejection, loss, discomfort. Machiavelli flips this. Pain is payment. Every fearful moment you push through isn't suffering. It's an attack you pay for influence. Every time your throat locks but you speak, every time you're ignored or laughed at, your tolerance sharpens. You pay once, never again. When fear rises, smile inwardly and say, this is the cost. I pay now and never again. This mindset makes you dangerous because you endure what others run from, and when they run, you rise. One of the most effective neuro conditioning tools is to seek rejection on purpose, not for humiliation, but to drain its power. Most avoid rejection, speak carefully, act softly, never ask for more. The Machiavellian does the opposite, walks into likely rejection scenarios. After dozens of rejections, it stops stinging. It becomes background noise. When rejection means nothing, you become immune to the world's opinions. You are free to ask, command, detach. This freedom terrifies people because most only do what wins approval. You move without a leash. Unpredictability is power. Neuro conditioning depends on consistency. You erase fear by stacking defiance, building a streak. Day 1, say what you feared. Day 2, act on what you avoided. Day 3, face discomfort coldly. Day 4, endure rejection silently. Day 5, stay calm when others panic. Suddenly you realize you are someone else. Fear no longer controls rhythm, tone, or outcome. You do. This streak isn't spiritual or motivational. It's repetition rewiring the brain. The brain obeys what it does often, so becomes someone who moves despite fear every day. Soon, fear stops rising because your brain accepts you no longer respond to it, but only to purpose. Most fear comes from the illusion of having something to lose, built identity on being liked, safe, good, or right. Machiavelli calls this suicidal architecture. You built your mind on quicksand. The fix: build identity on what can't be taken, adaptability, moving forward no matter what burns, never begging but replacing, never submitting to emotion. Even if you lose deals, partners, or reputation, your identity remains. This gives you a calm edge. Most people are addicted to fear's adrenaline. They think they hate fear but crave it as meaning, importance, high stakes. Machiavelli advises learning to feel nothing when you feel fear. Not courage, not energy, not inspiration, just boredom. When fear becomes normal, it loses narrative and grip. When others flinch, stall, or overthink, you move, speak, and act. Not out of bravery, but neutral coldness. This is the final stage. Fear no longer talks in your head. It becomes background static. Your life becomes pure action, unshaken, unapologetic, unbreakable. Fear no longer recognizes you as its host. The bridges it crossed are burned. But here's a whispered truth. You weren't afraid of the world. You feared yourself, the version of you that won't flinch, isn't liked, moves too fast for comfort. This fear isn't weakness, but untapped danger trapped behind years of polite hesitation. Now it's time to release it. Most trap themselves in endless introspection, journaling, and waiting for perfect readiness. Machiavelli scoffs at this. Introspection only serves execution. Stop analyzing yourself like a broken machine. Use yourself like a weapon. Every second spent wondering why you feel fear is a second wasted. You want confidence? Build a record of violence against hesitation. Don't soothe it or pet it. Strike it every time. Your brain will adapt. When fear no longer gets attention, it starves and dies. Fear is not a natural barrier. It's a learned response, a mental prison built by our culture, upbringing, and past failures. The first step to true freedom and power is recognizing that fear is not who you are. It's something you experience, a pattern you can change. Instead of running from fear or comforting it, confront it daily with deliberate action. Train your mind to see fear as data, not truth, and rewrite the story it tells you. Replace "I'm scared" with "fear is present." It will pass. By doing this, you weaken fear's grip and build resilience that no rejection, judgment, or failure can shake. Build an identity grounded in adaptability, relentless forward movement, and emotional control, qualities that no one can take away from you. Accept the worst possible outcomes calmly and decide you will survive them anyway. This mindset strips fear of its power and turns pain into payment for growth and influence. Seek rejection purposely to build immunity to others' opinions, and remember that waiting for permission is submitting to others' control. Act boldly, as if the world already belongs to you. Your brain rewires through repetition, so consistently choosing action over hesitation transforms you from someone ruled by fear into a master of your destiny. This process is not easy. It requires cold discipline and relentless commitment, but the reward is an unshakable confidence and freedom few ever achieve. If you're ready to break free from fear's chains and build a life of power and purpose, start today. Take that first uncomfortable step. Share this message, subscribe for more insights, and join a community committed to mastering fear and mastering life. Your transformation begins now. Don't wait for permission. Give it to yourself.